Welcome back, everybody, to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers Madden 20 franchise rebuild. It's 2028, and today we continue this season that we kicked off last episode with us taking on Tyrus Sparks and the Cincinnati Bengals. It was pretty fun to watch us play against Tyrus Sparks. It was a different experience here for the series. We got the win by 1. Jeffrey Kitchen hit a big touchdown late to Vernon Allen. Although, was it really a touchdown? Possibly not. I don't think it was anyway. But we do get the win, and now we're going to advance into the future, and I think we're going to go through the entire season today. That's kind of my plan anyway. I want to see where this team goes with Jeffrey Kitchen, and if we can return to the postseason. At the same time, I'd like to see what Tyrus Sparks is able to do with the Cincinnati Bengals. I hope they have a pretty good season. You know, the thoughts of a potential Super Bowl matchup again, that would be a lot of fun. I'm not sure the chances of that are great, but for now it's possible. When it comes to that long-term sim I've talked about, though, I think I'm still waiting for Tyrus Sparks to retire. I don't want to do it before he decides to call it a career. We open the season in 2-0 fashion, defeating the Philadelphia Eagles 31-17. 3 touchdowns in this one for Jeffrey Kitchen, another interception, but a pretty solid stat line here all around. We intercepted Cal Cooper 3 times, got 62 rushing yards from Ellis Norton at the touchdown, and Brendan Galloway had a really big day receiving, and so did Barry Roy, who has become a really great success story in recent years here in the series. Roy was drafted as a 55 overall wide receiver, and is on his way to becoming a star tight end. Dwan Bailey had 2 interceptions, Dotson 1. Solid win. Now I imagine I'll be doing the next draft. I think so anyway. And at the very top we have 2 wide receivers, Joe Callahan, Josh Thurman. They both match the projection, at least round anyway. Joe Callahan, late first round talent. Josh Thurman, late first round talent. No clue what we're going to be targeting right now. I think that linebacker is certainly possible. As far as contracts go this season, Leonard Lester's contract is up. Obviously, he and Harris are on 1-year deals. So maybe we look for some younger offensive linemen. That's possible. Dwan Bailey's 31 years old. Tyrone Bradley, 33. I think if you compared, like, the team last year to where they could be, like, 2 years from now, there's just so much change that's happened and will continue to happen. Dwayne Trawick is set to hit the open market here, wants $10 million a season. Most of our free agents are older, including Gabe Ventura. It's a 3-0 start now for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. We don't run the football that well here, but we still put up 38 points behind 4 Jeffrey Kitchen touchdowns. This is how we get the development up this year. I know he didn't play as a rookie, but this season he should get plenty of upgrades, putting up performances like this. Clinton Mills, 6 for 136 and 2. Barry Roy with 6 more catches. Quiet day for Gabe Ventura. He does score a touchdown though. So does Jamal Clancy. Clancy is the primary number 2 receiver this season, so waiting to see where his production goes. 3 sacks, Madden, Dean, and Macklin, and another pick for Dwan Bailey. He's got to be approaching Jamichael Beekman territory. He's definitely close. I want to say Beekman had 35 or 36 in his career. Bailey's at 32, and he's only 31 years old. I think he passes that number. I like where this season is going so far. 38 points now in the win over Minnesota. 174 yards rushing. So here's the big day for Ellis Norton. We had 3 touchdowns for Kitchen, and Norton gets 121 and the 2 scores. He had a 50-yard run. His numbers are still good if you take away that long 50-yard run. And there's Jamal Clancy leading the team, 872 and a score. We love seeing that. Barry Roy found the end zone as well. And we held Minnesota to just 7 points. So a great performance for the defense. Damian Burgess, 2 more sacks. Deshaun Dotson gets 2 picks. Upgrading Jeffrey Kitchen, who has already started this season very strong, and now he's up to an 81 overall. Got an ability slot opened up, and increases his already strong throw power. Now that's a 95. As far as an ability goes, he now has clutch. Alright, that sounds pretty useful. And Fearless. I was curious about this in the game last episode, but Fearless is an X Factor, so they are not phased by pass rush when in the zone. I had no idea that was even in the game. Now, we've certainly started the year very strong, but right there with us is Atlanta, also 4-0. Let's see who can take the early division lead here in this undefeated showdown. That would be the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, 28-13. Good performance. 2 more scores in this one for Jeffrey Kitchen as we pick up 2 more interceptions. Norton runs for 79 and a touchdown. Solid performance. Dominique Hadley continues to play pretty well against us, but he's just been playing well in general since leaving the team. Mills 92, Ventura 65, and a score for Brendan Galloway. For those interceptions, looks like they went to Dotson and Massey. Now, the defense has been really impressing me so far this season, and we're playing some younger players that I weren't sure would, be ready quite this early. But Markel Daniels, he's getting better, and I know that in the short games that we've watched, he's really good against the run. He's made a lot of plays there. I think he has a chance to be a pretty impactful player. I really did not expect a 6-0 start to this season, but here we are. Defense allows 25 points, but we put together a solid offensive performance, getting 2 touchdowns from Jeffrey Kitchen and a $118 on the ground from Ellis Norton. He also found the end zone 2 times. Travion Kendall, 56 yards here against his former team. And Denzel Chapman, 3 touchdowns, 100 yards. I don't think I've ever heard of him in this series, but a really big game. And then Galloway, 7 catches, 73 yards. Ventura found the end zone as well. So did Barry Roy, who I think is going to have some pretty good stats here at the end of the season. Dempsey and Dean get sacks. No takeaways this time for the defense. Already another upgrade for Kitchen. I wonder, maybe he had a Player of the Week award or something that got him a bunch of XP, because that's really fast. 1,000 this week. Okay, 3.2. He was Offensive Player of the Week. Those are always really helpful too. Like, when you're early in your career and you can have a breakout week like that, it's like 20+% of your XP bar. We're just going to keep going here with Field General. It's just such a good archetype that tends to give me the results I'm looking for as far as development goes. Deep accuracy is up to 80 now, so that's better. Still waiting on short accuracy to get more into that comfortable range. I like it, at least 87. Dakota Ulrich has hit in development. He is our 2nd tight end this season. 60 catching isn't very good, but tight ends, when they get points, they can make a lot happen quickly. So let's go vertical threat. His overall does go up. We're hoping for some catching here. We got 1. Route running does go up as well. But thankfully he only needs like 1,500 more XP to get his next upgrade. Alright, so it's the trade deadline and we are 6-0. I don't think there's anything I really want to change here with the team. Might take a look at the trade block, but I'm wondering how the Bengals are doing at this point. We have a really nice lead right here in the division as the top team in the NFL and the only undefeated team remaining in the AFC. The Cincinnati Bengals are only 2-5, so the idea of us playing against Tyrus Sparks in the Super Bowl, that's not looking great. We only have 500K in cap space though, which is pretty much nothing, so I don't think there's anything we can really do unless I was willing to make a move to open up space, and I just don't think you do that here at 6-0. Barry Roy, great success story these last couple of years. He's now a 79 overall. Short route running goes up 3. He's still just 24 years old. And here's what he's done so far in his career. 10 touchdowns last season, and this year we're seeing more yardage. He's averaging 19 more per game. That's a close one. We defeat Baltimore by just 1 point to remain undefeated on the season. 3 picks in this one for Kitchen. Maybe his worst performance of the season. But our defense intercepted Sidney Kilgore twice and sacked him 7 times. So this defense is capable of winning games on their own. I think we found that this season. 2.5 sacks for Casey Dean, 2 for Dempsey. I'm really impressed we haven't seen like noticeable regression here with the defense. Still undefeated. 35-28 is the final this time. 431 yards of offense. 3 scores for Clayton Cole. Who is Clayton Cole? New quarterback for New Orleans, apparently. 2 touchdowns, 2 picks for Jeffrey Kitchen. And we win by 7 behind a great performance again from Ellis Norton. I think his 3rd 100-yard game this year. And they're not all that common here in franchise. Unless you're Ezekiel Elliott, he always has like 160 yards. But a pretty good performance again. We're now 8-0. And the second place team here in the South is 4-4. So we're on our way to a title. We have our first breakout chance of the season here. It comes in week 10. And this is going to be Barry Roy's chance. 3 touchdowns or 150. Now, tight ends don't typically have these really big games, so it's not likely. But imagine if this happens. It's our first loss of the year, and we had 14 rushing yards? 14? How does that happen? 2 scores here for Kitchen. And on the ground, Norton 2 for 10, Galloway 3 for 4. So we ran the ball 5 times in a football game. Oh my. How does that happen? How do you run the football 5 times in a close game too? I mean, it was never more than a 1-score game. Maybe until the 4th quarter. That's really confusing. We passed the ball meanwhile 31 times. So we didn't run that many plays. There weren't that many plays at all in this game. But anyway, here are the stats, and Barry Roy will not get his upgrade. That's a pretty disappointing day for the team. First bad game of the year, though. We'll see how we bounce back. Wait a minute here. What's happening to the team suddenly? 26-8? We allowed a safety and ran for 46 yards. So we're doing really poorly right now. No touchdowns for Kitchen. He's sacked 5 times. 13 for 37 here for Norton. We tried to run the football a little bit more. It didn't really work. So 2 really bad games back to back. That's allowing the Falcons to catch up a little bit. Can we stop this losing? That is much better. 33 points, 163 on the ground. I don't know what happened these previous 2 weeks. But now we bounce back and get 2 scores from Jeffrey Kitchen. And Ronnie Wynn, our old friend Ronnie here, gets 2 touchdowns against us. We run the football, though, with dominance once again. $1.21 for Ellis Norton. Nothing longer than 9 yards. That is a long day for the defense with that kind of consistency and that volume. Jamal Clancy, 8 for $1.21. Definitely his most productive game of the season. Ventura at 44 yards. I haven't checked the numbers in a while. I'm really interested where they end up at the end of the season. Jamal Clancy. Let's work on one of his weaknesses here. The physical archetype. Getting 2 catching, 2 release. That's all very useful. Phenomenal ratings across the board. What has Clancy done this year? He's getting more snaps, and he's certainly about to set a career high here in terms of yards. Maybe even touchdowns. So, 600 snaps so far, more than he's ever had before, and production is up. And keep in mind, he's playing with Jeffrey Kitchen here, his first year starting, and we'll go field general once again. Kitchen now getting a morale boost that makes him an 84 right now. And there's some deep and short accuracy. That's a really good upgrade for him. So now everything's getting to a really good spot. Now we defeat the Pittsburgh Steelers in a low-scoring game. We ran the football well again, as Kitchen only had 125 yards. Keontae Grant passed the ball 6 times. So I don't know if Kitchen's like hurt beyond this game. We'll check here in a moment. Ellis Norton, 25 for $1.16. Big day again for Galloway in the receiving game. But why don't we go check out injury here, see if something happened. Okay, no injury for Jeffrey Kitchen. We have no injuries currently. We haven't had any this year, really. I think we had a couple end-of-games. I know Norton had an end-of-game injury at some point. It showed that he was coming back from injury. But Kitchen is all right with 4 games to go in the year. There's a monster performance. 35, 14, 170 on the ground. So Kitchen hasn't had that big day in a while, but we're still getting some wins. That's now 3 in a row. Greg Wilbur had a touchdown against us. Ellis Norton, 122 yards and 2 scores. I'm not sure where Lynn Page is, but they played Leslie Anderson, who had 47 rushing yards. LaMarcus Barker, 95 and a score. They have Jimmy Offord, the former Buccaneer. Ventura, there's a 2-touchdown game. Casey Dean gets 2 sacks, 1 for Gilbert Macklin. Haven't seen too many interceptions lately. We are NFC South champions with this win over Carolina, 28-14. There's the big yardage for Jeffrey Kitchen, 2 touchdowns. Ellis Norton, 2 scores for him, 74 yards rushing. Clinton Mills over 100. Travion Kendall 100 yards receiving. Clancy 69 yards. All right, so there is another division title. We're going back to the postseason. I haven't really thought about this much, but do we want to watch this playoff run? We also have to think about what to do with these contract situations, and right now I really want to see like what happens with regression. We're gonna have a lot of cap space, but I've got to see how regression affects certain players first. Like, I'd love to bring back Bailey, Bradley as well, depending on his regression. He's an 85 right now, but I imagine if he's an 80 or 81, I'd still want him on the team. Treywick, since he plays that linebacker role, I really want to see him stick around, but he's an 84, so what does regression do to him? I guess we're going to have to wait and see. Macklin is the one key young free agent that we have to think about, and this season he's been right in line with where he's been the last couple years, so really consistent. Oh wow, Barry Roy is going to be a free agent as well, and that's going to be about $6 million a year, and I think we may have to offer that contract. $6 a year is a lot though, I think, for a tight end. In the real NFL, $6 million a year is pretty average. That's what like Eric Ebron gets. He's on a 2-year, $12 million contract. So I think that we may have to look at signing Barry Roy. I think he's going to be a key part of this offense going forward. I would like to re-sign him, and we're going to have plenty of cap space. Barry Roy wants a little bit more than that. Travis Dubois, I think we'll have to wait and see here, but I would like to keep him around. We do need to play 3 safeties the way the defense is set up. And then for Macklin, I think I'm going to want to re-sign him, especially with Burgess getting older as well. Macklin has proved himself. Gilbert Macklin signs the extension. Oh wow, Ulrich just turned down my offer. Normally players who are like 64 don't even decline offers. I offered like 3 years, $3 million, so we'll have to come back to him. I imagine we gotta be the #1 seed with this win. Now we have 13 on the season, 3 touchdowns for Jeffrey Kitchen, 76 yards for Ellis Norton. So we had a couple bad games there in the middle of the year, but it's another dominant year like we saw a few seasons back with Tyrus Sparks toward the end of his Bucs tenure. Let's increase this offer now for Barry Roy. Otherwise, we're going to have to go to the final stage in the offseason. And Barry Roy does sign. He earned the big extension. I just think that with Clancy not necessarily putting up like superstar numbers, and then Ventura's regression, and no other receiver that can really fill in, I think Barry Roy is going to have that really key role for us. And he scored a lot of touchdowns here in his time. We end the season going 13-3, so Atlanta does get a win here late. We can't go 14-2, but that is still a really good year. and it far exceeds my expectations with the change on defense and a brand new quarterback. We have something here that works despite all that change. So we're going back to the postseason. I think I want to watch this run. It may be the last one that we watch, especially if Tyrus Sparks' career with the Bengals is only one season. So why don't we see what they did, but I imagine they were not a playoff team. We were the best in the NFL. Vikings right behind us, but we had a head-to-head victory over them. And the Bengals, oh, they rebounded. 9-7, they missed just barely. Oh no, I wanted them to make it. The Colts go to the playoffs at 8-8 because they won their division, but I guess they lose a tiebreaker here to Pittsburgh. So, barely. They had 5 straight victories, though. Tyrus Sparks tried to rally Cincinnati, but no rematch coming this season. This year, we had the number 3 ranked offense and the number 10 defense. Really impressed by both of those marks. Jeffrey Kitchen, 33 touchdowns and 10 interceptions. Very good for his first year. Ellis Norton, 18 touchdowns on the ground, 1,300 rushing yards. Can't wait to see his career touchdowns. Clinton Mills, 1,138 yards. Big season for him. Best season in Clancy's career, 848 yards. Ventura had 8 touchdowns, 649 yards. And Barry Roy, 628, 7 scores. Galloway with almost 600 receiving too. For the offensive line, Lonnie McCrary, he allowed 10 sacks. Cam Harris allowed 8. So the interior remained the strength of this offensive line. And for the defense, a career high in sacks for Gilbert Macklin. 3 players in double figures. That is really nice to see. Casey Dean, 13 more. For interceptions, 6 for Dotson, 4 for DeJuan Bailey. Only attempted 10 field goals all season. Hardly one every other game. 7 for 10. Alright, big year for Brendan Frey as the Vikings have a rare good season in franchise mode. I'm not used to seeing that. Most INTs, DeMarcus Wake, 17. He had that really big year with the Browns not long ago. I wonder what happened after that. 40 touchdowns, 33, 31, so a little bit of regression here. Tyrus Sparks, 29 touchdowns, 16 picks. Still decent numbers. Not what he's used to. Probably his worst statistical season. But we'll see if that's how he ends his career. Is that it for Tyrus Sparks? If so, it was a tremendous run. Ellis Norton gets the rushing title, but it was close with Nathan Newton right behind him at 1,310 yards. But 18 touchdowns does also lead the league. For the receiving game, Matthew Rush ahead of Clinton Mills for the receiving title, along with 14 touchdowns. Here are all the 1,000-yard receivers, including Dominique Hadley, who continues to play really good football after leaving Tampa. What could have been 4,000 yards since leaving. Deshaun Dotson led the NFL in interceptions. I'm not sure if that'll help him get a development boost. That would take him to X Factor if it did. And Cooper Ryan, 17 sacks. He and Anthony Banks, sack leaders in the NFL this season. A quick look now at career stats, and Ellis Norton is very close to his 100th career rushing touchdown. How many does he have receiving? He has 4, so 95 all-time touchdowns. Gabe Ventura needs one more season to reach 1,000 catches, but he's put together a Hall of Fame resume. And for our defense, now we see 73 sacks for Damian Burgess, and he is 31 years old. Macklin, 43.5. Nathan Parson has 9 interceptions to go with 38 sacks. That's a lot for an off-ball linebacker. 33 picks for DeJuan Bailey. Tyrus Sparks becomes a 621 touchdown passing quarterback this season. 78,000 yards. Reggie Clement is the active leading rusher. Brian Conrad behind him. Gabe Ventura, most catches right now, most yards, and most receiving touchdowns. 160 for Warren Mays. That is a lot. And 104 for Tad Hand. So another year in the books here in the series. And next up, we have ourselves a playoff run. Who's it going to begin against? We will take on the Chicago Bears in the division playoffs. You know what? I think I'll sim the division round. If we make it to the NFC title game, then we'll watch that. How does that sound? We will be moving on to the NFC title game after defeating the Chicago Bears. Solid day. Jeffrey Kitchen gets his first playoff victory, throwing 3 touchdowns. William Fells, 97 yards and a score. Clinton Mills, big day for him after a great receiving season. Clancy found the end zone. And now, we'll see us take on the Dallas Cowboys next episode. Here were the wild card results: 17-3, 14-10, some lower scoring games here. In the division round, Vikings lose to the Cowboys, Denver defeats New England, Buffalo moves on. So here are your final 4 teams. And we'll watch next time the NFC Championship, Buccaneers and Cowboys. What is this team doing these days? Who do they have? How about Bob Moore as their top player, Carl Joseph at corner, Jamar Vasher. I don't know most of these players. I know Carlos Quintana because he was a 4th round 78 overall tackle or something like that. Kai Howard's on this team, so at least one familiar face from our past teams. Tony Tyson. At quarterback, it's Tony Maddox, a 69 overall quarterback. But don't overlook him because we know that we lost to a 68 overall quarterback in the last playoff game against Detroit. So Tony Maddox is starting. At running back, it's Ricky Fleming. Adonis Askew retired a couple years ago, I'm pretty sure. So this is what we'll watch next time. Jeffrey Kitchen trying to bring Tampa to the Super Bowl in his very first year starting. Can he pull it off? That will do it for this episode, everybody. I hope you enjoyed it. It was a lot more successful than I expected, and we'll see if we can add on to this season next time. Please leave a like and subscribe, and I will see you all in the next episode. Have a great day.